Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Fellowship of Fandoms Podcast, or as we lovingly call it, FOFcast. My name is Strider, and here with me I have my good old friend Shiv. Hello, good evening. How are you?
Doing pretty good over here. How about you?
Great. I'm excited to talk about what we're going to talk about tonight, which is we're finishing season 1 of Wheel of Time. So yeah, I'm just having a blast, and as I mentioned in one of the previous episodes, I'm kind of struggling to to not just binge the whole thing in like 5 days. So yeah, how are you?
Yeah, it's, similar. I've been trying to fight myself from watching additional episodes. So for this recording at least, I got to episode 8 and kind of leaves you on a bit of a cliffhanger. I got a lot of questions. I'm sure you can tease me on some answers without spoiling. So I guess we'll see where it lands.
Yeah, but the good thing is we got to the most important reveal, I think, which we're gonna get to in a hot minute. Um, so yeah, I think these two episodes like reveal a lot, and then it's kind of like less of big things, at least as far as the show has gotten to by now. Um, Speaking of this show, as things stand as of us recording this, the show is still canceled, which is a hilarious decision that's just absolutely senseless. And Amazon and Sony have still not said a word, so hopefully we get some news. Maybe the silence is good, perhaps we'll see. I think the hope of the fans is not on the highest of levels at the moment. I think it's kind of hope remains. We can keep hoping, and hopefully someone will pick this up. Um, but if you haven't, you can help. You can help do your part. Save Wheel of Time. Just type this. There's a petition going on. At least, hopefully, it will still be going on by the time of this recording. There's a couple other things you can do there. You can record a short video about why you like Wheel of Time. It's like it can be up to 30 seconds. There's a lot of cool little things you can do. The best thing you can do also is just share it with two friends. Two friends, each of them spends 5 seconds to do the autofill for the petition. In 50 seconds, we have your signature and two other signatures. Very easy to do. But yeah, so on this episode of Fellowship of Fans podcast, we are covering season 1, episode 7 and 8 of The Wheel of Time, and yeah, I guess we can just get right into it if you don't mind. All right, so the episode opens with a flashback, which is a pretty intense, action-packed flashback that kind of teases some questions, and then towards the end of the episode, we get what's happening here, and I guess we can just count that like as a one whole scene, and we can just discuss the whole thing because it will make the rest of the episode easier. So, what did you think of this? So we open with what is called it is an Aiel woman, female warrior. I'm gonna type it in the chat just so you can uh, see how it's spelled. And actually, I can maybe I can put the photo here as well, so you don't have to look at us. You can look at this absolutely badass warrior lady who is fighting on the slopes of Dragon Mount while pregnant. She has very. I think it was a pretty good fight scene actually. Like I think I forgot. So since this is my first rewatch, I kind of forgot like how good of a scene this was. At least for me. What did you think of the scene?
Yeah, I thought it was really intense. It was an awesome scene. I mean, my first reaction though, I'm like, who is this pregnant lady? Like, what did I miss something again? Like, because my feedback for the show so far has been it's really dense. So I feel like I'm constantly missing things, which shouldn't be a complaint because I'm sure it leads to rewatches. You catch things that you missed the previous time, stuff like that. But yeah, I was a little confused, but the action was engaging, so I was glad. Um, I was glad for the scene. I guess it was. I feel like the past couple of episodes had a lot of exposition with not a lot of action, so this was a nice kind of balance to that. And she did fight pretty aggressively, pretty well. And I believe we get the reveal that she ends up having the baby. And at the beginning, do we see that it's Tam that delivers the
No, so
baby?
So no, the scene that happens is she sees the sword pointed at her, but we don't see that it's
Oh,
Tam,
the reveal.
uh,
Okay.
Rand's father, until the end of the episode when the reveal actually comes out. So we see that he was one of these soldiers that were fighting. I apologize for the absolutely atrocious quality of this photo, but here we are. Yeah, he was one of the soldiers fighting against the Ail, and the mystery, the reasons why this whole battle was happening, they get revealed in season 3, or
Oh.
maybe they get mentioned in season 2, and then it kind of, I think it's all happening season 3. uh I think there's like a hint, or there's, I think there's like a, like it's like a explanation within like a dialogue, and then we kind of see more of it with the full context in season 3. But yeah,
Hmm.
it matters. It's actually a very big deal of what's happening here. But yeah, so the Aiel are this race. I mean, a people. I don't know if they're not a race. I guess I mean they're humans. But they're like these people who are all red-headed. This is their distinctive trait. They're all gingers. Despite the real world ethnicity, they all have red hair of some kind, and they are considered to be like the toughest warriors on the planet. Like they're the best warriors, and they all always fight with spears, which I will
Hmm.
not reveal because that's also a big point later on. But yeah, they are these famous warriors. And actually, if you remember, let me connect you with something else. You remember when Matt in you know when they meet Tom Marilyn, like that bard guy.
Yep.
You know the bard, the guy who was singing in the tavern,
Yep.
the Gleeman. You remember that?
Yeah. 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 Yep.
Sorry, I don't know if the connection broke down. I couldn't hear you.
Oh.
I don't know if I can find the photo, but yeah, they meet this guy, and then it's like that scene where Matt goes to rob this person that's hanging like the corpse of a person hanging in a
Yep.
cage, because they had this really cool little thing there, like a some kind of a jewelry thing. And he goes there, and that's where he connects with Tom Marilyn. But that person was an Aiel, and they killed this. I don't know if it was a he or she, but we already had mentions of this. And then, as well, at some point, Matt says something about, "Oh, I wish we had one of these fighters in the Two Rivers." And actually, that's the joke. They had one this whole time. They had Rand in the Two Rivers, who was an eel, but he didn't know about it. So anyway, yeah,
Hmm.
that was the opening, and then we get the reveal that actually Tam was not Rand's father, and Rand is actually of the eel, which was a pretty big thing. But I'm curious, like, how did you were like? I mean, I guess you were just like, what? Where's he from? What's up?
Yeah. I was definitely, well, when the episode started, super confused. I'm like, I assumed if they're showing spending time on this, it's an important character, and it would have had to lead somewhere. So I figured, oh, if she's pregnant, they're gonna somehow get the baby, and then you can make the comparison of Star Wars and Uncle Owen, and you know you can go on and on. Um, but yeah, so I figured it was important for the plot. But now that you say that, like the whole redheaded kind of group, and like, okay, Rand has red hair, and I'm like, oh man, now it's all making even more sense. But yeah, it's an interesting backstory. And when you think of, like, I know it's like tropes now and all that, but if I make the connection back to Star Wars, and I remember one of the episodes I said that that actor would make a really good Anakin. We're kind of getting that backstory now of well, I guess for Luke, being kind of orphaned, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. And with that, because I don't trust anything, it sounds like later we're going to discuss how the dragon's revealed, right? And the dragon is said to be Rand, I guess, by the end of these episodes. But I don't trust that. And I don't know if I should be trusting that, or wholeheartedly or not, because I'm like, okay, they said what in the dialogue, that the person who faces is it the man or whatever, the evil, the Dark Lord or whatever,
The dark
like
one, yeah.
has the Dark One, they have to be the dragon in order to survive. If that's what they said, which could be wrong, they mentioned in this episode that it was only like the start of the battle and not the end. So I'm like, oh well, I guess a not dragon could potentially start a battle. They didn't technically face the one yet, right? But yeah, I don't know if I'm going into crazy conspiracy land right now, and it should just be like, yeah, he's the dragon. Move on.
Well, I'll say he is the dragon. Of all of that, I'll say he is the dragon. That's it. This is the real. We now know Rand is the dragon. We'll get to the part when he realizes, when this all gets like properly revealed, because it ties in with this scene. But for now, we can go
Yep.
to like the beginning of the episode. We can talk about another familiar, I guess, scene of sorts. Yeah, so there, when we go back to the present time, we see Rand, Moraine, Lan, Nynaeve, Perrin, and Egwene, and Loyal going through the ways. And so we talked about it. We touched upon this in the previous episode. This goes for it's an interesting little part of this world where it's kind of almost like a black hole, I guess. Like it just kind of like condenses the distance between 2 points when you go through here. And of course, there's also a certain danger looming in, even though it's maybe a different kind than what one would expect, considering what this scene kind of is similar to. So yeah, how did you feel about all of this? The ways.
Yep. So making the Lord of the Rings connections as we always do. This reminded me of the Mines of Moria scene in Fellowship of Fans. Or Fellowship of the Ring. Jeez. Oh boy. Copyright infringement. Fellowship of the Ring. And there's a couple of small scenes that also reminded me. Yep, that's great. Great photo there. So one, they had someone following them, like we're being followed, and that's similar to Gollum following them. This is a bit of a stretch, but it's still like my mind went to it. Gandalf has the follow your nose scene when he's lost in Moria, and Loyal was kind of in a similar situation, or Loyal and Moraine, I guess, where he had to kind of what is it, like it's a stone that's been damaged, so he has to figure out a new way to get to the access point they're trying to get to. So there's that similarity. I mean, it's another stretch or whatever, but like in Moria, they're chased by goblins and then ultimately a Balrog, and in this, they're chased by what do they call it? It's like
Shin.
Mashin Shin. So chased by that. And similarly with the Balrog and Gandalf, he uses like a light to kind of block the attack of the Balrog. And in here, the Aes Sedai, or well, I don't know if they're considered that yet, but what is it, Egwene and Nynaeve, they kind of save the team from the rest of the attack, I guess, as it starts. Oh, there's a great photo of the Balrog. Nice. Yeah, so a lot of similarities, and I know we touched upon that, previous episodes, and how the author admitted that he was heavily influenced by Tolkien. But yeah, it was still an interesting take. The design, I guess, of the I forget, what is this world called again? Like the pathway, way.
Gateway, I
Oh,
guess.
it's just
The ways.
gateway. Oh, the ways. Yeah, I thought the design's pretty cool. They kind of use like hexagonal shapes or something, and uh, very unsafe. You could take a wrong step and fall into infinity or something. It sounded like.
Yeah.
Which one Trolloc, or they saw that fate. But yeah, it was. It's a cool. What'd you call it? Like a cool story point, I guess, of this world. Fast traveling, I guess, teleportation, kind of thing, which we see a lot in sci-fi and not necessarily as much in fantasy. So it's a cool kind of crossover there if you look at it that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a good point, and I think there's a few things in this world that might keep bringing this thematic up again. Yeah, I mean, you'll see as we keep going. Yeah, it is similar in a way to Moria scene, and I feel like it's just one of those. It's definitely one of the tropes and one of the key elements of a hero's journey in some ways as well. Often heroes go through hellish in certain types of stories,
Yeah.
of course, not in all fantasy stories, but like you kind of go through like hell, and then you come out a different person on the other side. Um, so this is obviously a big thing for them, and yeah, they are trying to go to to the eye of the world directly, which is where the Dark One is imprisoned. However, they are attacked by Trollocs, and they realize that, and due to someone having damaged some parts of the ways, they cannot figure out, like they cannot go the way they planned to go originally, so they have to improvise, and they come out in what is near a city called Faldara. So
Hmm.
this is kind of like a detour, but it's still, they still got very close actually to there. They just came like, they go through the next door compared to the doors they were supposed to go to, which is fine. But just before we um, move on from here, one quick mention is that Nynaeve, yeah, as you said actually already, channels and helps uh, get rid of the Mashin Shin. However, this thing, like this, I don't know if it's a creature like this, yeah, this whatever it is, has certain influences on all of them. But I think maybe we'll touch on that a bit later. But anyway, it seems like Nynaeve has saved them from Mashin Shin, and then Egwene has seemingly saved them from that one Trolloc. And then they come out here, and then I guess we're going to Faldara right after this. Let me see if I can find a photo. So I'm curious, how did you, what did you think of, the city? Did you think like, oh, this is pretty cool, or like did it remind you of something else? What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, a couple things. It seemed like the show, at least, and maybe you can help me out if you know about the books, but it seems to be very like samurai inspired. And I wonder if the book kind of describes that. Uh, I don't know if you know, but it kind of has that
No,
vibe.
I
So,
could
yeah,
be.
character design seems very samurai esque, similar to Lan's character as well. Like he seems to have samurai qualities, like the headband and stuff. I don't know if you call it a headband, whatever you would call his head decoration,
Headpiece.
headpiece. But yeah, and then making comparisons. I feel like between this episode and the next episode, we kind of get a Helm's Deep ish scene, but like I don't know, like that's probably an unfair comparison because it's just a siege at the end of the day, and that's standard throughout stories. But it kind of had that hold the wall, so Game of Thrones, you can make that connection too. But yeah, the base. I don't want to jump ahead, I guess, to that because that must be season 8. But yeah, overall, oh, we could even make the. I won't go there. Never mind. I was going to say Dune, but just because it's a desert, can't really go Dune. But
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're not playing the, find the similarity between everything. Even
yeah.
though even though I think we could, both of us are, I think we embraced. Oh, this reminds me of. Even though it's like one. Oh, there's humans in both of these. Shocking.
That reminds me of
Um,
Oppenheimer.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, we have the city. I don't know. For me, it looked cool, but I think this is going to be a recurring topic as we discuss these two episodes, especially the eighth episode. Um, eh, you don't get a lot of proper build up. I feel like the city. It kind of, so in previous episodes we talked about how this season did a lot of things better. The season one of Rings of Power, especially in terms of like showing the world. And I feel like in this episode, or like, yeah, I mean, regarding in regards to this city in particular, in both episodes, it doesn't really show that much of it. Like, there's some shots. It's not bad, but it's like I feel like I would like to see more of it. But again, it's probably more the issue with Amazon's plan, which is like 8 episodes per season, up to 1 hour tops. Then it's like you are literally broadcasting this on your own website, platform, wherever. You can say, hey, all the episodes take between 30 minutes and 569 minutes. You can take whatever time your people need to take. Why limit yourself? Like, give me a season, and I'm now going on a rant against the streaming, but like, give us a season of 56 episodes and just let us enjoy ourselves. Like, everybody wins. I get more to watch, you get me to watch more. Like, everybody wins. But we got like just a brief few shots of this city, and I feel like the buildup could have been way bigger. And also that like city, like the wall. I found this. I guess it's some kind of concept art or something, but like it's not the best. But still, like it also wasn't very convincing. I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah.
One of my critiques for these two episodes, which it isn't a deal breaker, but the CGI was kind of bad in certain spots. Episode
Yeah.
8, it was really noticeable, like for the big battle. But episode 7, I think when they were showing the wall and stuff, it looked a little clunky. But I will say, if this episode showed Blight, at least for, I don't know if it showed a glimpse of that. Maybe that's episode 8, but it looked really cool. Like, it looked really creepy. So I did like that design a lot. Maybe it was
Yeah, the
shown
light.
briefly at the end. Yeah.
I think we got some kind of teaser for it for sure, and I do think that Blight did look pretty good.
Yeah, super creepy.
Yeah.
So I love that design.
Um.
So I thought that was pretty good.
mm. So we learn to just go one step back. We learned that this city is actually kind of like Minas Tirith. Like
Yep.
they are keeping this for generations against Trollocs on the other side of the pass. It has not fallen in I don't know how many years. It's a whole thing. But I just feel like it's very rushed. There's no build up. Like and like it's hard to compare for a lot of reasons. Um, it's those were movies. There was obviously time for it. Like they knew they had time to film everything. That so on and so on. Like there's a lot of reasons why this doesn't work. But still, it's hard not to compare. um when we see Minas Tirith, you get that epic scene of Gandalf and Pippin riding in, and you get like that wide shot of them riding through the streets of Minas Tirith, and like that Minas Tirith slash Gondor theme is just building up, and it's like this insane composition. It's really really cool. You get to see the layout of the city, and then you get there, you have like a whole hour before the battle begins. It's a whole, like, there's so much nice build up here, and then here, which what feels like, okay, this should be more of a Minas Tirith than Helm's Deep in a way, I guess.
Hmm.
And it's like, it's not, we don't get time to care too much about these characters. Like, I think the actors did well with what they had, but it just doesn't feel too, it definitely feels rushed.
Yep.
But yeah, what did you think? Maybe just a short comment, then we can kind of move into the other part of this. What did you think of these two characters? Like, did you get like, oh, I wish I knew more about them, or were you like, it's fine, or like, did you feel like you got to know them enough for what happens at the end of episode 8?
Yeah, definitely we didn't get enough of them because I guess if we kind of jump into the storyline of episode 8 a bit, so like he basically is like, oh, I'm gonna go defend that wall with the other main characters, and they all just basically die. Um, well, he dies for sure with the spear or whatever. When the Trollocs
Mm.
go there, and then the lady Amelisa, like I don't know if that was fully flushed out or said in previous about the Aes Sedai or channeling or whatever, but she uses the power and then it seems like she gets drunk on the power and just kills herself with it. But it seemed like all the Trollocs were dead. So it's like, why don't you just stop using your power and save everyone? So I didn't fully understand why she went that route. So
Mm.
I don't know if that was explained anywhere, but I was like, okay, so you introduce these characters and then kill them off like right away. Interesting. So I don't care about them really. Like if they were able to, if they had the time to introduce them, like what they could have done is something like Game of Thrones, where they just have a small storyline and sprinkling in the episodes early on, where you might get introduced to them, and then the storylines converge when Moraine and them end up in their city. Could have done something like that, but instead it's just like, hey, these are new people. Oh, they're dead. So maybe the book
Yeah.
does a better job of explaining that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Make
sure it does.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does. But yeah, I know what you mean. I think regarding the lady and Melissa not getting like not stopping the channeling, I think it's hard, kind of. Especially because she's not trained. So if you remember, there was a moment where she speaks with Moiraine, and Moiraine says that, "Oh, I remember. It didn't necessarily work out. You did not become one of us. But I think I hope I can still count on you
Hmm.
to for your secrecy and trust and whatever." But then, so that means that she has been in the White Tower, but she hasn't become a full-on Aes Sedai. So maybe she's not trained on how to do this properly.
Hmm.
So I guess she just cannot. It's just so much. I think it's like kind of like opening the floodgates. It's like really hard to close it once it opens, especially if there's like no proper mechanism for this. So I think this is
Hmm.
kind of like what's happening.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but we go. There are some. We learn some things about the city, and then Moiraine goes to Min, and they have a talk there, and it turns out that Min is a seer who sees the future of people, and she asks Min to help her. Like, what do you see when you look at them? And then this term comes up, which is Taveran. I think it comes up here, but basically, it's as you remember in episode 1 and 2, we talked about this. Taverans are the people who are made, and it definitely gets mentioned in one of these episodes. They are the people that wheel creates so that they can kind of like get the destiny, the wheel of the time and destiny, on the right track. So she sees that all four of these, they are very connected. They are definitely special, but she's not sure who's the dragon at this point, or at least we are not seeing this. But there were a couple of interesting moments. We saw some hints of different things like this, like Rand holding a child, and she's saying to Moiraine that she's seeing different things. And we see this cool scene where it's the the vision kind of splits into two. So she sees like proper Perrin, and then she sees like the other ghost version of him that's like with bloody mouth and like yellow eyes. She's like, oh, and yeah, she says about all four of them what she sees, and it's quite an interesting scene. I think with that gives a lot of hints, and it's like, oh, I saw what is happening later, so I know where this is going. But I'm curious, like, what did these short scenes of her commentary, did they answer any questions, or did they just like make you ask even more questions?
Definitely asked me, had me to think of more questions, but I will say like the effects they used was pretty cool. Like I like the design of it and how they had kind of like the ghost version next to them and stuff. I thought that was one of the better CGIs from this show. But yeah, a lot of questions. So what did we see? We saw Rand holding a baby, right? So that's the future she saw at this point in the bar.
I actually cannot remember exactly what she saw for Gwen and Nynaeve. I don't remember. I think there was something with Aes Sedai as well, but she kind of also reads their characters, kind of. And,
Yeah.
we get more of, and throughout this episode as well, we get more of Nynaeve just aiming mostly to protect all of them. Nothing else actually matters to her. So, yeah, it's just like a little revealing moment about all of them in a way. But at this point, I'm not sure, I don't know how it is in the books. But it's interesting that it's still at this point we are not sure who is the dragon. That gets revealed only later. But I guess we are coming to this point. Um, But after this, the group goes back, or yeah, I guess they go to their rooms and they have that big discussion. And we just get into a very dramatic scene where it's like, I don't know if it's like this in the books, but if you remember, I said in the books they're all actually teenagers, or like, I don't know, they're younger either way. So it's
Oh.
like, okay, this kind of drama, I guess it makes more sense with younger people. Like you wouldn't expect this kind of drama from Lan and Moiraine. So yeah, there's this, do we go with Moiraine? Do we go back? And Nynaeve is like, I'm here only to bring you back with me. Then Matt is like, oh, well, maybe. Sorry, Brand is like, maybe Matt is the dragon, and Nynaeve and Egwene is like, stops and so on, and then just starts like evolving to this whole character drama. So, real quick, like how much did you enjoy this? Like, do you think it gave you a bigger insight in the characters, or how did you read this scene?
Yeah, I could have done without it. It's like, are you guys gonna save the world or not? Like, we know that they're all gonna say yes. Like, I can't imagine. I just the way the show's portrayed, I can't imagine them going, yeah, never mind, I'm good. I'm gonna head home. So it's like probably could have used screen time to explain all the other things I'm confused about. So yeah, I could have done without it. Maybe in the books it makes more sense, adds to the drama and all that. But yeah, oh, you put this photo up. Will they, won't they, for the entire season one? Oh, we like each other. Oh, we hate each other. Oh, we like each other again. Oh, now we might have a kid together. It's like, all right, but I'm assuming that that kid must be important because they keep alluding to it. The one or the man or whatever he's referenced as in episode 8. Well, and I think there was a vision. No, yeah, it is episode 8. Sorry. Yeah,
Yep.
alludes to having a child with her and stuff. So I'm like, all right, it seems to be an important part of his future. Yeah, we see it in the vision too. So wonder what it all means.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we'll touch on that a bit more. Um, but yeah, so Nynaeve and Lan have a couple of moments together. He goes to, and we can see that he is treated with a lot of respect. He's called the Daishan, and we later learn that this means that he is the heir to the throne of Malkier, this kingdom that was destroyed, and he is now the king in exile, wandering around, saving the world, helping the world, and doing all the good stuff, which is once again kind of reminiscent of another certain character. Um, I forgot what's his name again. Was it Strider or something? Uh, this wandering hero, and yeah, so Nynaeve is following him around, and she sees that there's a lot of respect towards him here, and eventually she joins his not family but like close friends. He kind of is invited for dinner there, and she joins him as well. After this, there's this will they won't they, and they do get together, spend the night together, and I think it's safe to say like there's less drama. I think it's more like kind of like a developing situation rather than there's drama. But I don't know. I'm I'm curious. Like, how did you read this compared to like the other
it
side
seems
where we had Gwen and Rand?
it seems like she paid attention in that class where they were learning how to turn the dirty water clean because they clearly weave their powers in bed that night. Sorry, stupid joke. But yeah, that's so I guess there's more of this like standard movie stuff, I guess, of relationships. But I'm like, all right, is this a love triangle now? Because Lan has like the connection to his Aes Sedai, Moraine, and now she's getting involved. So is that going to lead to some kind of fight in later seasons or something, or later episodes? Um, so yeah, that's it. Can the I forgot what are they called? The people that help Aes
Wardens.
Sedai. Can the wardens have relationships outside of their Aes Sedai?
Yeah, I think it's maybe some kind of gray area. I think not.
Hmm.
I think as a warden, I think they even kind of referenced this. She, who was the wisdom of of her village, couldn't marry, and he is a warden, but she'll become an Aes Sedai, so she can have a warden. However, he is the warden of, or the warder, sorry, of Moiraine. So I don't know. Moiraine has her Amyrlin seat, Sion
Oh
Sanche,
yeah.
as her partner or her paramour. So these two are emotionally available for each other, but it's like, okay, do we have the liberty to do this or not? But anyway, they do. There is obviously a big connection there. While all this is happening, we get to see, and let's see if my laptop will allow me to show you this. We see this guy. Perrin keeps thinking he's seeing Padan Fane, and I think there was a short moment where it was like, is he also in the ways or not? And then actually later we see that he comes out of the ways after the fellowship. Uh, so yeah, and then it turns out that actually he is one of the bad guys. Well, more of that in a second. But I guess that was quite a twist in a way. What did you think of this reveal, um, of them, of him specifically showing up and then turning out to be one of the bad guys?
Definitely caught me off guard, and could be because of the denseness of, or me not paying attention or something. I thought he died in the earlier episode, so I didn't even realize he survived. So now seeing that he's, you know what? In retrospect, they did focus a lot of time on him in the early episode, so that should have been warning enough that he was going to come back. So yeah, I should have known better. Dang it! But yeah, still, it was a shock that he was a dark friend. Um, and I don't know if we want to get to what he does now, but yeah,
I mean, I mean, I guess we can kind of jump. Oh no, okay. So no, let's wrap up this episode 7 because we can touch on
yeah.
episode 8. Let's just wrap up. So basically, what happens at the end of episode 7, um, after this big night where Lan and Nynaeve get together and Rand and Egwene get together. Um, there's a lot of these interpersonal conflicts and stuff, and like a lot of things get brought up, and then eventually, um, Rand shows up at Moraine's doors and he says, "Yeah, it's me. I am the dragon. Let's go." And this is kind of where we finished the episode, actually. But before this, he says, "I am the dragon," and then we see that there's like a short montage of some of the moments. So what happened in episode 2 or 3 when he broke those doors down? We see that he was channeling, which it could be considered to be a little bit of a narrative cheat, but I don't think it is because no one knows it at this point. And then we also see that at when they were traveling through the ways, actually it was him who channeled. There was a
Mm.
brief moment where he grabs Egwene, and in this grabbing he waves his hand protectively and kind of fires a beam towards the Trolloc. So there's a couple of these moments, and then we see the end also of that opening shot that we had, which is when we see his father holding the baby, and that's when we learn, oh, okay, so it's not that he's just the dragon; he's also of these people. He's not from the Two Rivers. Tam is not his real father. So okay, he is the dragon, but what does this mean for his who he is as a person? What's this other half of his identity that we know nothing of? And now we learn that actually he's not just the dragon. There's even more to him, and that's kind of where we finish the episode, as the two of them are going towards the blight. They're going to go through the blight, get to the other world, while the rest of the group is realizing all of this, and they're just trying to figure out what's happening. But then that leads us into the fact that there's a battle that is about to happen, and they start realizing, and there's this scene between Nynaeve and Egwene where the two of them are talking about Nynaeve cannot feel the wind anymore, which is like the way they speak about the one power in their village. However, Egwene can, and she focuses on it, and she hears it, and she realizes that she also is hearing the Trollocs. And then there's this whole thing where, okay, there's going to be a battle. There's like the whole city gets activated to kind of deal with this. And yeah, like the battle preparations start. They are, getting everybody to the formation. They're trying to figure out what to do. They're trying to, especially the two people commanding the city. I don't know if I guess he's not the king, but like the commander of the city and his sister. They are trying to like prepare the city, and he's like, okay, I guess I need to go fight, even though I'm probably gonna die. There's a lot of this. They say that this is like the biggest army they have actually fought ever. Um, and yeah, uh, that's kind of it. I guess they are preparing to. I mean, it's not kind of it, but like for now. Um, and they realize the main group that's left in the Soparin, Egwene, Nynaeve, and Lan, they realize that they should kind of stay here. They cannot really. They will die if they go to the. They know that they will die if they go to follow Rand and Moraine, but Lan goes after them nonetheless, and the other three stay in the city. So yeah, how were you reading like this preparations, and like did you get like any of this pre-battle hype as all of this was happening? I mean, we kind of got to this already,
Yeah.
but maybe like a quick.
Yeah, I feel like the impending doom was kind of rushed. I don't know if you felt the same way with this episode, but it's kind of
Yeah.
like there was no real suspense. Just like, oh, the Trollocs are here. All right, we're gonna go fight them, and then next episode they're fighting them. Basically, there wasn't like any anxiety to it. And then I guess the stakes were high because certain members get killed off pretty fast. But yeah, in my opinion, it seemed a little rushed. Like you were saying earlier, like we barely saw the city. It's like nothing to really care about. I guess like it's not a beloved city that we've been in for an entire season. It's like one episode, oh, here's a city. Next episode, it's being attacked.
Yeah, pretty much. um which is a shame because I feel like it could have been a big scene, but I think this is where we can really feel the scope of this. Like the fact that this is, after all, still a TV show, and this is something I'm very curious if um, the Rings of Power also will be able to actually create the epic battles we need in order to feel the scale of these events later on. And I feel like this is also, I mean, that's just something that TV shows in general struggle with, and it takes
Yep.
a lot of risks because they obviously have always a smaller budget than a movie. They have to stretch it. They have to stretch even if they have the same budget, they still have to stretch it on like 8 hours or 10, or depending on the season. So I guess it makes sense, but it did feel as a shame to just be like, oh, okay, so there's like these five dudes that we have here on the photo, um
Hmm.
these five warriors, and then like I don't know how many nameless others, and there's like a couple of these almost nonsense scenes where they're kind of marching towards the gate, or like that gate wall. They're marching there, and then and some of them are on the horses, but then they just get off the horses, go into the wall and start shooting from the wall. So yeah, not maybe the best of battles, I guess, on the TV. But to be fair, again, like even like just 10 years ago, I think this was already even 10 years ago. This would have been, sorry, I got it wrong. I think 10 years ago this would have been pretty solid. But I feel like the ladder kind of moved on what people can expect from TV shows, especially Game of Thrones. I think that's mostly a solid job with this. Eighth season, we can discuss this, but like throughout most of this run, it did move the standards. It did set them quite high for this thing. So I feel like this battle was definitely subpar. And I mean, would you say it was, or like, do you think it's maybe at least a little bit better than subpar?
No, I agree. That, and kind of talking about the comparison to Rings of Power too. it seems like Rings of Power season 1 had a pacing issue where things felt very slow, in my opinion. Like it seems like they're trying to stretch out a small story. And then in this show, it just seems really dense and we're missing things. And maybe there's times where they're focusing too much on things that, at least right now, I don't think matter as much. But at the same time, I'm sure there's stuff I don't know and it's alluding to stuff in future seasons. But like I don't know, this maybe some people liked it, but the whole scene with Lan and the Zahir and like the refugees and all that, like and inviting Nynaeve to dinner, like if the whole point of that scene was just to say that Lan was from like a broken line, like that could have been said in a greeting with someone. It didn't need to be an entire scene, didn't need to lead to some other stuff. I don't know, but some people probably like the romantic storylines and stuff, so it's important to them. But I feel like if the climax of this season was supposed to be this battle and figuring out who the dragon is and all that, they should have spent more time building up to the battle and not just like, oh, here's a battle and they're all dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. However, actually, this might be a moment. Let me see if I can just find a better photo. But I'm just struggling a lot to find any picture of the ladies channeling. I guess maybe we'll use this artwork. I'll assume that this is the artwork of this. Hmm. No, it's not. It seems spoilery. um, yeah. So anyway, these ladies join Nynaeve and the lady of the city and Egwene and Nynaeve as well, and they have this moment where they're like fighting, and it is a big moment. It looks like it should
This
be a lot, but it's not. And that it does feel a bit underwhelming, but we also do kind of at least get to see, I guess, the power, like wiping out an entire army. But the execution of it is not very good. And this is what I want to say actually at the end of episode 6 when Matt stayed behind. So this is the moment. I think I kind of mentioned it in when we did the first episode. The actor playing Matt, he left the show for we're not sure what reasons. Um, However, it was during the pandemic. So the two main things that went against this finish here is they had to do a lot of rewrites, and I think they had to do a lot of reshoots in the middle of like 3/4 of the way in of filming. So imagine this happens because one of your main actors has to leave for mysterious
oh boy.
reasons, and then also there's a pandemic happening. And these are, I think, the two main reasons why the whole ending of the season is so conflated, not very connected. Uh, and I think confusing as well because like Matt was supposed to go with them here, and all of them, I think in the books, I think all of them actually go to the Eye of the World. I think so. But either way, like Matt was supposed to be here, so they had to like adapt and like reshoot a lot of stuff in order to make the fact that they just lost an actor kind of work. So I think in hindsight,
Jeez.
like knowing this, yeah, right? Like it's like I don't think I'm sure it happened to some show somewhere, but like I don't know about it. Like this is not a thing that happens, you know?
Only, yeah, we've definitely seen recasts. But it's usually between seasons. I feel like I don't think can think of a show that had a recast mid. Oh, wasn't there a movie that? Oh, I wish I can remember. I don't know if it was Philip Seymour Hoffman that died. There was a movie. I don't know if maybe someone in the comments for the tens of people watching this, um, uh, where I think a main actor died, and what they ended up doing is just having celebrity cameos throughout the movie, playing the person that died, basically. So it made it just super disjointed, and it ended up working in a clever way. Like I think it was kind of like the character became visions almost. So every time there was a vision, it was a different actor playing the person who died. But yeah, I wish I remember the movie. I can't think of it right now. Um,
Oh,
that was like,
that's interesting.
yeah, so that happened, but yeah, thinking of like recasting Game of Thrones, I don't remember that. Man, it's been a while. But the character that became close with Daenerys,
The Lord of the Rings movies, and you have, I don't know who will be the proper equivalent, but I don't know, like Boromir, the Sean Bean left as, let's assume that also they were filming chronologically more or less, and then he leaves, and he leaves as they're entering Moria. You still have to get him back, or I don't know, maybe we can say Sam, for example. It's like you need Sean Austin's. Imagine if he left the filming before just in front of the Moria, and like he gets stuck outside, and it's like that he has to pop back up. But like the domino, you already took it out, so you kind of messed up this whole other set of dominoes that was supposed to fall. Like it's such a butterfly effect. It's insane, and they, like, I know through some of the videos I watched later, like from season 2, season 3, like the recaps and analysis and so on, and it's like it was really hard to iron out, and I don't think they even succeeded completely. But it would be like a completely different show in many ways. Like a huge part of this show in season 2 and 3 would be very different if the actor didn't have to leave, or if he, or at least if he filmed the season 1 and then was just recast, and then we had the new guy in season 2. Yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy. Like, I really do not know that there's like a show that struggle with these two major things. A lot of shows struggle with Corona, obviously,
yeah,
with the COVID pandemic, but like to also have this happen, it's like, God damn, like that's bad luck.
yeah. And sometimes when uh, challenges arise, it might lead to a creative strength, and it sounds like in this case, it didn't lead that way. But I thought of the movie and the actor now. I'm doing a quick Google search. So who I was
Mhm.
thinking of was Heath Ledger. When Heath Ledger died, he was in the middle of filming The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, and
Oh,
the director ended up rewriting the script to explain Tony's changing appearance. His character is named Tony as he traveled through like the magical Imaginarium. So every time they traveled through that, he was replaced by Johnny Depp, Jude Law, and Colin Farrell. So like they had major cameos to play for Heath Ledger after his death. So that was kind of a cool way of adapting, and it made the movie more interesting. Um,
mm,
Definitely more. And it's kind of like a nice way to kind of give that actor a send off too by having cameos by some of the greatest actors. But yeah,
wow.
that's I don't know much about that movie. Like I don't know if that was based an adaptation or a script created by the director himself, but in this case it's a written book that has an outline that fans are expecting, and to pivot so drastically may have been a hinder for the project, and it might have made more sense to reshoot, but can understand how painful that would be financially to do that. So I guess they did the best they could and they rewrote around it, and it just probably made the season feel more rushed and disconnected,
Yeah,
which
I
yeah,
yeah,
I was just going to say.
agreed.
But it sounds like from feedback from you, future seasons get better, so it sounds like once the challenges were overcome, the show kind of progressed from there.
Yeah, I just think that this right here is the thing that might have doomed Wheel of Time long term, because imagine you're a random dude and you're watching this, and it's kind of confusing. The finish, it's like you're like, okay, I kind of like it, but like I'm not following everything, and then it finishes with such an end to the season, and it's like, what? And then if you're like a fan of the books, imagine that, like that's like a different point of view, where it's like, what? Matt is not going, what the hell, like this is insane, because again, imagine Sam not going to the mines of Moria, like what the hell. I think this is probably the moment where sadly long term this kind of doomed the show going forward.
Th-
um but as I
this
said, like they
image
did, yeah.
oh, yeah, so this image here kind of, and this could be a problem with the even with the book stories potentially. Like I don't know, I haven't read them yet, but
The fake
there's
out.
not it's kind of the fake out in like the there's no real risk because you can just keep reviving people right now. It's like, oh, they saved Egwene, or oh, they saved Nynaeve again. So there's no real stakes for the people with power and the Aes Sedai right now. So I'm hoping in future season they figure out a way to make it more dramatic. But like for a split second, I was like, oh my god, Nynaeve is actually dead, and then they revived her. I'm like, oh my god, nothing matters in this show. And then the people that they just introduced the majority of them from the episode 7, they all just died, and it's like I don't care about them. We just got to know them. Rest in peace,
Yeah,
Lyle. Though that was devastating. How dare they allegedly kill off a character? But I'm jumping ahead.
Loyal, yeah. Yeah, well, actually, I mean, we can go into that. So let me just find the photo for you. So yeah, Perrin figures out. Well, just to quick address, yeah, there's a fake out, but I think they kind of don't do them anymore. And I feel like they have even put some fake outs in the season 1, even though they weren't in the books, I think. But again,
Oh,
it's I think especially this one here, I think it goes very differently in the books, and it should not have been a fake out. I think so. It is what it is. It's probably again going to everything we talked about just before. But we have this next moment, which is where what you said. Perrin shows up, realizes, sees what's happening, sees two fates here, sees Padan Fane, who has killed Loyal. uh like we see him bleeding, and like Hanafe is towering above him, and yeah, it's not looking good, and he takes the Horn of Valir, which is this legendary artifact that is said that it will be blown for the last battle when it comes, and it's going to summon the heroes of the past to fight against the forces of the Dark One. And yeah, he takes it, he leaves. Perrin is still struggling with he's kind of considering the way of the leaf, those wanderers that we saw a couple of episodes ago that took him and Egwene in. Yeah, he's kind of dealing with all of this. And I don't know if I said this, but his wife, you remember his wife from season 1, for episode
yep.
1, he kills her with the axe. She's not actually in the books. He doesn't have a wife in the books. So I think that's also another one of these moments where they added stuff, and I assume that this is like to give him even more of a reason to consider the way of the leaf. I don't know, like this. I think this is a whole thing where we would need a proper book expert, someone who has read the books at least, to be like, okay, yeah, so this is what has happening. This is what's happening. This is why it's happening. This is why they put this here, but this thing is not in the books. Because yeah, I don't know. I guess they wanted him to give him like an extra incentive to think of the way of the leap. But anyway, he doesn't engage with Padan Fane here, and he kind of gets away. So, what was your take on this whole scene, and what do you think of the thing I just told you about the wife and like parents' motivations? And what do you think? How did this influence his character?
Wow, that's good to
What's your
have
perception
that.
of the character?
Yeah, to start, like I said, seeing what is it, Loyal, that's my favorite character so far. Stabbed him and leave him for dead apparently. Pretty annoyed. With this show, because people can be revived and stuff. I don't know what's going to happen next season. Luckily, I get to watch that tonight, most likely, if I have time. But it's like, what the heck? They just stabbed a bunch of people and they moved on with the scene pretty quickly. And it's like, if he's a major character, they would have spent more time like showing like the pain he's in and like the stakes and how like they're he's kind of like the knowledge or legacy knowledge of the group other than Moraine, and they just lost him instantly. Like, what the heck? So I wish they spent more time. But yeah, the lore drop of the horn, that's pretty interesting. So fallen heroes can come back. I'm wondering if, since the Dark Friend took it, does that mean they can summon like bad warriors? It's a problem if it gets in his hands because the dark the dark one, or the whatever. God, I gotta get these characters. The dark one, if he can summon horrible people from the past, like that could be a huge threat. And yeah, you were talking about Perrin and his kind of backstory. I guess like that's like a lore change or whatever you want to call, like an enhancement, I would say, giving him a sadder backstory, and maybe it does lead, if people that read the books probably know, but it seems like it is pointing him towards the way of the leaf, or it's kind of giving him reservations for using violence on people, so it helps kind of influence his decision making. So I feel like something like that's fine. Trying to think of a comparison of a lore change that's not as fine. I can make a controversial take.
Let's
Who?
go.
So I would say that, yeah, this Perrin killing his wife is an enhancement to his backstory, and the dangerous comparison is in Rings of Power. I would say the apocryphal story of Mithril's origins. I could see that being an enhancement to the lore on the front as you take it by the text of the show. They're saying it's apocryphal, and it's just kind of adding a bit of mystery around Mithril. It's not, the show didn't say, oh yeah, Mithril was 100% created by the Silmaril and a battle with the Balrog and an elf or whatever. They're saying like, oh, some people believe that this is what happened. And the show acknowledges that it's apocryphal. Like, I feel like that's an enhancement to the origin of Mithril, and that's beautiful for people who haven't seen Rings of Power. People can hate this lore change, but I wouldn't even call it a change. But the scene itself was pretty cool. Like, who would complain about seeing an elf battling a Balrog? Like, it's pretty sick. But yeah, I would consider that like an enhancement. It's not deviating and changing something. Like, it sounds like Matt not being with the rest of the group, traveling through the way, like those seem like deviations from the books that could have implications, and it puts the writers into a corner, which it sounds like happened at the end of this season, and they're gonna have to catch up and figure it out for season 2. But yeah, I don't see a problem like that. It seems like a minor character detail that kind of strengthens his motivations. So it's perfectly fine. I'm trying to think of another example, because I know Rings of Power had a lot of deviations and people would get upset over minute things. But like this one, I would say is a controversial take from me, because a lot of people didn't like this. Um, but yeah, I don't know. In some cases, it's okay for adaptations. And think of the other thing people forget is Peter Jackson made a lot of changes to the lore to make things make sense and condensed into the 3 films. Like, well, I know he made some changes. He was going to have like Arwen at the Battle of Helm's Deep, but they cut that out. And
Thankfully.
yes, yeah. So I think that one, actually, from what I heard, that got leaked, and it got back to him. So they made some changes and edited it out. But there was other changes, right? Like, was it Glorfindel that was supposed to save Frodo?
Yeah. No,
And
the Lord of the Rings
yeah,
movies do have a lot of changes for sure.
yeah,
I agree. I think there is definitely room. Like, I think, yeah. As a non-book reader, this I would agree
yeah.
that this enhances his motivation. I think it's not. It doesn't have an impact it should in later seasons as well. I think that's like a big thing to consider. Um, Even though it gets referenced, it kind of gets wrapped up in season 3, but it's not something that gets the proper treatment, I think. Um, and also, from what I've heard, I think a lot of people didn't like it. I think people of all the main cast, with maybe the exception of Matt, because of everything that happened on the outside of the actual story with the actor and so on, I think people that might be the most upset in a way with Perrin throughout the show, because
Hmm.
there's a lot of cool, interesting things happening with him, where it seems like they're kind of like pacing it out and kind of like trying to build up to certain things. So his story has been progressing slower in terms of the story beats from the books. So I think with considering that, and then the addition of his wife and him killing his wife, which is, that's a big deal to do to a character. um, I guess I can I cannot imagine it. I cannot relate completely because I haven't read the books, but I think I can understand also why people would be upset with this. Even as you said, like as for the show watchers, like you and me, this is like okay, like that. I can see this enhancing his character. It's like it does make sense in the show. Like for me
Yeah.
as well, like coming through the whole season to this point, it's like okay, yeah, he has been struggling with this throughout the whole season. So I guess it's fine. Yeah. But anyway, Padan Fane manages to leave, leaving Perrin to try to help Loyal, but it seems like he's not gonna manage. And I think we can now go to the culmination of the season, basically, like the very end point. But before we go to this, to Rand facing the Dark One, um, I think we should first address this dude,
Hmm.
Luz Therin Telamon. I think I'm pronouncing this properly. Um, this is the previous dragon, and so Rand is the dragon reborn, and Luz was the previous dragon. And we see this prequel, um, I mean, not the prequel, but like a flashback scene to something that happened like a long time ago in the past. And he's having a conversation with, I do not know her name, but this lady right here. And it seems like they're both the leaders. So this is the time before the male side of the One Power was corrupted. They're kind of like talking about this. They're talking in this language they created, or like this old tongue. And Luz, has this idea to go attack the Dark One, and he's bringing like 99 of his strongest fellow male channelers to attack the Dark One, while the Aes Sedai, the female side of the Aes Sedai, they do not want to go because they think it's gonna mess things up. It's too hasty. It's not a good plan for whatever metaphysical reasons. It's not a good plan. And we see his decision, and he says, and I think it's a very interesting thing. Especially, hopefully, I do not forget. Uh, I think we'll get to it in like 5-10 minutes. But he says it's interesting that this is that the fate of the world is going to be has been decided in a nursery, because he has his child right there. And yeah, what did you think of this? And we saw a little bit of a glimpse into how advanced actually this previous society was before the arrival
Oh
of the Dark
yeah.
One, before all these wars. So yeah,
Yeah,
what did you
there's
think
like
of all of this?
there's flying cars and stuff. I'm like, oh, that was kind of a cool twist to see. Because I've probably made this link a couple times in some of the shows we talk about, but Futurama is a really funny, smart cartoon that's been around for a while, and they kind of touch upon that of how like, oh, speaking of the Wheel of Time, so they have an episode where they get a time machine and they find out that time is cyclical, so every time they go forward, eventually they go to the beginning, and they kind of see civilization get created, then destroyed, then created and destroyed, get advanced, go back to cavemen. And it was kind of cool to see that. So 3,000 years ago, civilization was super advanced, and then I'm assuming bad stuff happens, societies collapse, and then we're back to kind of like medieval times, 3,000 years in the future, with a storyline we're kind of focused in now. So I thought it was a really cool twist. Wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, it's interesting to think actually what the implications of this, because basically they live in they live in a post-apocalyptic world in the future, which is a very interesting. And I am struggling to find once again photos for this, because yeah, there are some really cool shots. Yeah, especially like of like the buildings and like the flying cars and everything, as you said. It looks really cool, but yeah.
What could be
Um,
cool
so
storytelling
yep.
is if in the future they like find relics, relics of the past, which are futuristic technologies to the timeline they're in technically. It'd be cool if they could use it. So using a flying car against cavalry, or finding like advanced weapons and using them, like That could be cool if he touches upon something like that throughout the story.
Yeah, I think we get to see more of these hints throughout, and I think especially in the books, there's some stuff where I'm not sure if I should I should say them still. I should say them yet. I mean, I think it's not, and I don't think it gets. I don't think we get this reveal in. Yeah, what the hell? Let's just go with it. So basically, this is actually the future of our world. So it's not a made-up world. I mean, it is a
Oh,
made-up future, but
so,
this is actually our world. And at some point in the future, I guess we unlock magic or something. We realize that. I mean, I don't know. Like, there's a whole. This is like an epic fantasy sci-fi mix, even though the sci-fi element is just buried deep in the layers of the world. But basically, this what we have on screen and what was in this flashback scene is referred to as the Age of Legends. So for us, this Age of Legends is actually in the future. But for Rand and the gang, it's in the past, like thousands of years ago in the past. So at some point we get to this level, and then whatever the hell happens. It all goes to
wow.
to like uh, down the toilet. And then Rand and the gang are like way back in the post-apocalyptic future of the world after way after the Age of Legends. So yeah,
That's
how
pretty
about
cool.
that?
It's like the reverse Tolkien, where Tolkien was writing about a mythical past of Great Britain. We're getting a mythical story of the future of Earth, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was like, what when this happened? When I learned this, I was like, oh my god, that's actually really cool. And also, just like, I mean, look at this image. I'll just share it again. It's just really cool, and like I said, like flying cars and everything. And then anyway, to stop nerding out in one place and maybe keep moving, we can go to this. Yeah. So, what did you think of the whole this whole scene? So yeah, the female Aes Sedai will not go join them. What did you think? Do you have any impressions of like this lose Therin, Telamon, this previous dragon, or like I don't know. I think it was a pretty cool scene, but I don't know. I always wonder like, what's your take? Like, did you notice anything interesting about it besides it being like, oh, this is a cool lore drop?
Yeah, I'm assuming it was foreshadowing and giving some glimpses to history potentially repeating itself, or maybe we learn from past mistakes. Uh, the way I looked at it is because the Aes Sedai and the dragon didn't see eye to eye on the decision that was being made. It probably led to or at least the domino effect of the world kind of going into post apocalyptic. So that's kind of where I was thinking with it. It's like, oh, this guy's about to make a decision that causes the world, because what do they call the dragon, the breaker of worlds or whatever. So
Mm.
maybe this one was one that helped the downfall of society. That's kind of where I was thinking. I was going down that path when I saw the scene.
Yeah, well, that is that's a great thing that you remember this breaker of the world, the breaker of the savior of the world, and that's like this big thing. And I think one of the main things that Robert Jordan, the writer, one of the big themes that he is, or I guess, well, themes or tropes. I think it works in both cases here. Um, is the concept of the chosen one, which Rand is. He is the chosen one, but I just realized I didn't put the photo back on. He is the chosen one, and he's he has to deal with this throughout like 16 books, and it's very interesting because he's also okay. He's the chosen one, but also like he's gonna lose his freaking mind.
Yeah.
Like there's a risk he might like just burn and just get everybody killed because that's what happens with male channelers. And we see in this prequel scene, we see how this came about because Luz and then even Ishamal, sorry, this guy, the Dark One, he is talking about, the previous time the last dragon came here, he brought 99 of the strongest channelers with him. So I guess we can actually go into this scene here now. So Moiraine and Rand, they are in this. They're going to the Blight, and there's a couple of things they go through it. As I think you mentioned when we talked earlier, this is kind of reminiscent also like of the Forest of Fangorn. And yeah, anyway, so they go through it, and there's Rand has a vision where, let me see where this photo is. I have it saved somewhere. So he sees this guy haunting him. He thinks he killed Moraine. There's a whole thing, and it turns out it's the vision. Quick note: we have been seeing this guy, this vision of this dark person, going up. I think all of them saw it, like all five of them, or at least all four of them. I don't know if Nynaeve saw him throughout the season, but you remember they had like some of the bad dreams at some point, especially in the early first half of the season.
Yep.
And yeah, they go through the blight. They go into the other world, and they have this discussion like, okay, um, what's your plan? You always have a plan and a plan and a plan and a plan. What you're not telling me, and Moraine keeps saying, this is the mission. We need to stop the Dark One. And yeah, that's kind of like they're traveling through this area, being their relationship further. And yeah, that's what this is one of the. By the way, this is one of the core relationships throughout the story, and it keeps developing. From what I've seen in the 3 seasons, actually, it's really cool. But this is one of the first moments where they're kind of starting to bond, and I really enjoyed that moment where he says, just before they go down to the Eye of the World, um, wait, you said that whoever goes with me, that's not the dragon, will die. You should not go. And she just looks at him and just walks past him,
Hmm.
clearly being like, yeah, if I die, I die. It doesn't matter. This is my purpose. Without saying this, and I really enjoyed it because a lot of shows might say this, which kind of goes against that show don't tell. But she just walks past him and walks down there. So what was your opinion of this whole uh just before, so this moment, all of this, the part of the journey just before we go to the actual confrontation with the Dark One, and as we see him in the
Yeah.
vision, what did you think of him?
Yeah. So, um, the visions making more connections to Star Wars reminds me of like Luke seeing Darth Vader when he's training with Yoda, and similarly with Anakin Skywalker had some visions, and um, who else? Oh, Kylo Ren, and he had some visions. But yeah, the dark, or the man, or whatever I think he's called the man on the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I think I'm just used to Lord of the Rings and like Sauron being this like scary thing in crazy armor. That seeing a guy in like a suit, it kind of threw me off. It's like, oh, that's kind of strange. It was a little jarring, I guess. Like, oh, the bad guy is just a guy in a suit. Okay. And I guess at the end of the day, like, bad people look normal. It's not like they're, an evil person isn't walking around Earth like wearing armor. Probably are wearing a business suit. Oh God, politics, uh,
Capitalism. Boo.
capitalism. But yeah, it was kind of strange, like seeing. But I guess like I guess it makes sense. And maybe like there'll be some play, like if the Dark One gets his powers back, maybe he will look a little bit like spirits that people are seeing in the dream, or maybe transforms between the two. I don't know, but yeah, I guess the wardrobe was kind of like a strange choice, like, but it kind of subverts cliches, I guess, right? Like he's not like a menacing looking. Yeah, I guess I'm flip flopping here. I don't know, but my initial reaction was like, "Oh, that's a strange choice for
Yeah.
a villain."
I mean, I had the exact same reaction. I think a lot of people did, especially the show watchers, I guess. I don't know what the book watchers thought, but um, it was, yeah, it was like, this guy's wearing a suit. Like, okay, it's he doesn't have a tie, but like that's a suit. He looks like a man.
Yeah,
But it's very interesting, and it actually makes sense as the story goes on. I think you'll get into that in the next episode or two, or three. I don't know. But yeah, it was a pretty shocking. It's like, what? It's just like a dude in a suit. Like he
Oh,
has
and I
very
get
nice trimmed hair and beard and everything. Like it just like looks very like a gentleman.
I
What were you
guess
gonna say?
if this is Earth in the future, guess if this dark one's been around for thousands of years or whatever, I don't know the lore, then maybe this was the wardrobe around the time they tapped into the magic or whatever. That kind of explains him kind of wearing like I guess you could say modern suit or like whatever you want to call it. So okay, maybe there's a justification there, but I don't know if I'm on a limb with that theory or not. But yeah,
No, but I
seeing
think it
just
makes sense.
yeah.
I think it makes sense.
So it was
Uh,
jarring, but it sounds like it will make sense once I learn more in the future season.
yeah, I mean, I think you're kind of like on it, basically. I think that's kind of like the logic that I think it just makes sense, but it will make even more sense in just a couple episodes. We'll get to it, I think. Maybe even in the next
Gotcha.
in the next episode of the podcast when we cover episodes 1 and 2 of season 2. But anyway, yeah. So the confrontation starts. Rand first walks in. He says he's getting some memories back. He's remembering that uh, or like his previous life. He's remembering all of this. And actually, just before we can see here in his hand, we're kind of jumping ahead a bit, but the way Moiraine wants to boost Rand's powers, even though like he hasn't channeled before consciously, she gives him this little small statue, like how would you call it, like a little figurine,
Yeah.
and she says it's called a Sa'angreal. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but basically it's like kind of like an artifact that the one power is trapped in, which makes it like an amplifier for the power. Like if you use this, like it can get your powers like increased tenfold, hundredfold, depending how strong it is. So this is what's happening here. This is what she's giving to him to try to balance out against the Dark One. And just a second. So we see just a sec. So when they're walking into this the eye of the world, they on the floor we see the yin yang symbol actually. And in the Wheel of Time, as far as I understand, it's not used exactly like the yin yang symbol, but it is heavily like it is inspired by it. It's just like a little bit of a different thing, but I think they represent like the male and female sides of the one power, and I guess then it gets even more. It makes even more sense if like the one side of the one power got corrupted in a way, the male one. Anyway, so I just thought like maybe that's like an interesting little tidbit that maybe you saw. You were like, did I see this correctly? Is this the yin and yang?
Yeah.
And yeah, it
This looks
actually was.
familiar.
So yeah, what happens here is basically the Dark One. So this is the question, and the Dark One puts Rand in a vision of an alternate future, of like a possible future. He sees himself with Egwene and their child, and at the same time, while he is in the vision tempting Rand, he is also with Moiraine, telling her, "What are you gonna do?" And actually, he cuts Moraine off. Let's not forget, he doesn't. Well, I mean, he takes away her ability to channel, and we see that she just gets completely shocked, like Loghain did, that guy that they all took the magic from some episodes ago.
Yep.
And however, Moiraine says, I still have a knife, and I'm still gonna kill him if I think we're gonna lose. And she puts a knife to Rand's throat while he's in this vision, and it's just an interesting moment where the Dark One is tempting Rand with the vision of an ideal future. He tells him, "But this is what it could be. You just need to choose." And Egwene is there. They're living in their house on the hill or like on the mountain where his father's house. Yeah. So how did you? And then I mean, ultimately, Rand decides that he would not do this, even though he wants it, because this is not the future that Egwene would want. At least he thinks she would not want it. So he refuses to actually follow this, and he then fights again. Decides to like channel against the Dark One, and the Dark One then vanishes. And how did you take all of this whole final confrontation? What did you think of? What were your expectations going in? What did you think of how it was going, and then what was like the final, like the result? What's your take on all that?
Yeah, so I'll do another comparison to Star Wars, and then I'll dive into my thoughts. So comparison, once again, is kind of like Anakin and the Jedi, and how they're like forbidden to uh kind of have a love interest or whatever. Like they're kind of like supposed to be dedicated to the Force and all that. It seems like it was a similar choice. Like, oh yeah, you can be with Egwene, but you're gonna end up being corrupted somehow. And you know, if the Dark One wants him to go that route, sounds like there's corruption involved. So he fought against that, and that was my connection there, at least in my brain. But the overall confrontation was kind of anticlimactic, I feel like. And I guess it makes sense to have like a cliffhanger at the end of a season and be like, oh, that wasn't the big battle. This is just the start of everything, which, okay, that's cool. It's setting up for future. It seemed like this episode didn't really end in a bang to me. And quite honestly, on this podcast, you're saying that Rand's the dragon, but like the show, at least for my first watch, didn't do a good job of like saying like, yeah, he's 100% the dragon. Like I'm still not convinced he is, even though you are saying he is, so I know he is, I guess. But they didn't do a good job of like saying, "Yep, he's 100% the dragon." Like maybe anyone with that artifact could go down there and start the battle with the Dark One. Like maybe they'll be fine. I don't know. So that's kind of like, I guess the show didn't do a good job of like explaining that to me, at least. Maybe I'm the only one. But the shot you have on the screen here, I will say, like when that battle happened, I had my sound system kind of cranking, and the explosions were like super loud. So the sound design for this was pretty awesome. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, tangent, a couple tangents there.
No, that's. I mean, there's a lot to praise in the show, and even these scenes of the battle, that like the battle wasn't the best on-screen battle I've ever seen, on TV, on a TV at least. But it did have some good moments, right? And I think we are talking about things that didn't work, but also there are some things that did work, and like I guess sound and music could be, like that was one of the big things about Rings of Power, right?
Yes.
At least if there was one thing everybody could agree on, it's like that the music was absolutely insane, because Ben McCready was doing the music, and it was absolutely brilliant from the first note to the last.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I think it's a good point. Um, I can see why you said everything that you said. He is the dragon. But I think what's happened here will make more sense as the show goes on. But I do think that they didn't manage to make it all land as in a way that it should have. But again, I guess we can just do this all together under the same reason, which is, I mean, everything that we already discussed that happened with the show, and like all the issues it had. But yeah, I guess we have a couple more things to talk about, just before we wrap up. So Rand says, "I have to leave because he's afraid that he's going to kill all that he loves." Um, and he leaves, but Lan, he leaves, and Moraine says or he says, "I know you'll manage, even though you cannot lie. I know you'll manage to make them think I died." And I guess she doesn't have a choice. She obliges. He leaves. Lan arrives, and she tells to him, "Where's Rand?" He's gone. And then she says that line. I think this wasn't the last battle. I think this was just the first battle. And this is kind of where this ends, I guess. Um, However, we do get a teaser that on the far western shore there's a fleet of ships coming, and we see that there are these ships that are being. I mean, how did you read this? I'm curious in your interpretation of the scene.
Yeah, so I didn't know if they were another faction of the Aes Sedai. is is there another group? But it seems almost like they're not related to the Aes Sedai, so it's some other group that's channeling powers. It's pretty cool, like how they're able to use the water as like a, I don't know, I guess an offensive tool because they used it to create a tidal wave and attack. And it seems like they took out a little girl, if I remember right, that was on the
Yeah.
beach. So nice.
That was like the most unnecessary OP thing ever. It's like dropping a nuclear bomb on like a village. Like what the hell, man?
Yep.
But yeah,
All right.
it's exactly what happened. Yeah, you can see them here, um, like on this photo. These two seem to be controlling the front. These two in the front. Um, I think in a couple episodes it's gonna make much more sense what's actually happening here. But yeah, that's like a bit of a post-credit scene almost on what's to come in the next season. So yeah, I think with this we wrap up season one. So can you try like in like maybe 2 to 3 sentences final impressions of season one?
Yeah, I think I could do that pretty easily. So I've said multiple times, season one was pretty dense. Got a lot of world building, so maybe that's part of it. Um, I would say the pacing was kind of uh, had a variable to it, where some episodes were great, and then other episodes I couldn't keep track of everything going on, or they're introducing a lot of characters and then killing some of them off right away. So it's like, oh my god, like so much going on. So dense, but like in terms of enjoyment, like I do like the show. It's keeping me entertained. So yeah, I think it's worth watching. It's definitely worth watching, and I think the biggest detriment to the show was the marketing because it didn't capture the target audience. I definitely like the show and never would have watched it based on how it was marketed. So yeah, it's worth the watch, and I guess hopefully in future seasons the CGI kind of improves a little bit. Like hopefully they got the budget to spruce
Yeah,
things up a bit.
I think it looks pretty good in the future. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I think that's fair. I yeah, I just think marketing in general wasn't good. Even me, who I was like, oh yeah, I'll watch season one as it was coming out. I didn't want to continue later. There's a lot of reasons. We mentioned some of them already, and we are going for an hour and 45 minutes, which is insane. We basically talked as much as the episode's so long, so I'm not sure anyone's gonna listen to this. Kudos to those who stay with us until the end. But yeah, I'm afraid that this season and everything that happened to it was the thing that doomed the whole show, which is a huge shame. But it is what it is, and hopefully, maybe things will change. Maybe by this time, imagine by the point of when this comes out, which is like some days in the future, maybe until that, maybe by then it will already be like, oh, season four, it's happening. Apple TV decided to take real time. No, no, no. Who knows?
Yeah,
But
it could happen.
it could happen. Uh, yeah, so I think we'll have to rethink how we do these for future episodes because this is an insane runtime. I think Warking is gonna be like he's gonna have a heart attack when he looks at how long this video is. But yeah, Shiv, I think we need to wrap up here. Thank you very much for jumping into this. I hope it was worth the trouble so far. Since you like it by now, like you're gonna like it even more in just a couple episodes, and then throughout the rest of the season two and three. Um, so yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Can't wait to watch season 2 tonight, actually. So we'll talk soon.
Yeah, yeah, and we definitely need to rethink the tactic. For I think I need to get my ADHD diagnosed as soon as possible. Get my meds, and then it will be like half of the runtime. Anyway, thanks to everybody I like if somebody stayed until the end, like you are the coolest person ever. I love you so much. Thank you. You're the best. You're the MVP. Yeah, go sign the petition if you haven't already. We'll be back very soon. Next week, we'll be putting the review for or like the rewatch along commentary on season 2, episode 1 and 2, and we'll also hopefully be talking about some other things as well. We'll be talking about Superman, Fantastic Four soon as well. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. So yeah, keep tuning in, and we promise we will try really hard to keep these shorter. But I don't know. Eh, I guess some podcasts that are at least well done, which I'm not saying this one is, but it's like, oh hell yeah, I have a 2 hour episode to listen to. Hell yeah, the next 2 days is going to be a lot of fun whenever I can tune in. But yeah, anyway, enough of rambling. It's getting late here. Thanks to everybody. Have a good evening. Have a good day. Have a good morning. Um, this is Fellowship of Fandoms Podcast. I'm Strider here with me. It was Shiv. We talked about Wheel of Time. We'll be talking about Wheel of Time 1 week from now as well. So tune in. And once again, thanks for staying this long. If you have, bye bye,
I
and see you next time.